On and green.
What's that?
Don't talk if it's green unless you're saying something you want
I
recorded.
don't know. All right. It's 5 o'clock, November 10th, and I call this meeting of the Clear Creek Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been duly called and that its notice has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. And with that, I don't believe we have any community input, and we'll get to our first action item.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Trustee Cheka. And motion on the floor. Any discussion? None? All in favor, please raise your right hand. And no opposed. Thank you. All right, next item up is information discussion on transportation.
Yes, thank you. And so we have a short presentation for you, some information related to the 24 hazardous route study and proposed 26, 27 changes resulting from this study. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Miller, and we have guest Tammy here.
I'm going to let Tammy Pickett, our Director of Transportation, take you through the presentation.
And just as a reminder, all of our mics are off, and so just when you're speaking, just turn it on.
Good evening. So our hazardous route evaluation for 26-27 school year. Sorry. The TEA guidelines for hazardous traffic conditions. The definition of hazardous conditions: an area within 2 miles of a campus where no walkway is provided and children must walk along or across a freeway or expressway, an underpass, overpass, or a bridge, an uncontrolled major traffic artery, an industrial or commercial area, or another comparable condition. Construction zones may also be classified as hazardous on a case-by-case basis. Area presenting a high risk of violence. An area within 2 miles of a campus that law enforcement records indicate presents a high incident of violent crimes. The source is board policy, CNA legal, CNA local. Region 4 conducted an evaluation in 2024 utilizing industrial standard evaluation metrics to develop their recommendations. The CCISD team reviewed and evaluated their recommendations. Based on their findings, 2 elementary campuses were identified as not meeting the criteria for hazardous designation, as no significant safety risks were observed in those areas. However, Region 4 also recommended that transportation not be provided to an intermediate campus. Since that evaluation, safety conditions in that area surrounding this campus have changed significantly, presenting new risks. As a result, transportation services are being provided to this campus and that surrounding area to ensure student safety. Those 3 campuses: Brookside Intermediate, Hall Elementary, and Gilmore. Brookside Intermediate. Students residing south of 528 and east of Bay Area Boulevard are provided with adequate path and traffic controls to safely walk to and from campus. Since then, the removal of crossing guards was done after that study. Therefore, it is considered a hazardous route. This actually affected 31 students, which we are currently providing transportation for. Hall Elementary. Students who reside west of the Bay Area Boulevard and east of Magnolia Creek, as depicted in the map below, are currently provided transportation services. We are going to possibly remove the transportation for these services for these students, and it's 14 students that are affected in this area. Gilmore Elementary. The students who reside in the Enclave neighborhood are within 2 miles of the campus based on the shortest walking path from their homes to the campus. Currently, only 8 students are receiving transportation from this area. Gilmore Elementary. Since the study, a walk bridge was completed, as you can tell in the gray or the green area on the map. 104 students are currently receiving transportation in this area. It would affect 104 students. A resolution declaring hazardous traffic conditions for the 26-27 school year will be formally presented at the November board meeting. Questions?
So what you're going to see on the board meeting is going to be a much longer list. It's every hazardous traffic condition that we have district-wide. We wanted to go over those that are actually going to have changes for the 26-27 year, which are the three campuses that she described. So the resolution that you'll see at the next board meeting would include all hazardous traffic conditions. So we will open it up for questions.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll open up. Trustee Cunningham.
The 14 students for Hall, are they close to that footbridge?
The Hall Elementary is actually on the campus side of Bay Area Boulevard. That's that strip that's right there. They have a walk path down Summer
Place.
Gotcha.
Place, right?
Okay.
And those are all existing walk paths that they have, so that we're just eliminating that transportation.
Okay.
It's a non-hazardous, since they can get to the school through a walk path.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions? My question will be, going forward and assuming everything continues to go forward after the board meeting, is communication-wise, how will this be communicated out?
We will definitely be communicating as soon as possible, once the board approves it, to let the parents know. We will be communicating with phone calls. We will also be sending out Parent Square alerts just to make sure that there is clear communication to all the campuses and the parents.
Campus principals are also notified, and then they generally call each family and let them know of the change in transportation as well.
And are these recommendations for next school year as opposed to effective immediately?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Next school.
Except for the added at Brookside. We're already transporting that from last year once we removed the crossing guard.
So that's effective immediately? Is that what you mean?
The addition of a hazardous route is effective as soon as it's identified as hazardous.
Yeah.
It's the removal of transportation that generally is for the following fiscal year,
Okay.
calendar school year.
And the Brookside one, I know Blackhawk is coming through, right? Right there between, what is it, Galloway? And, it'll cross over Bay Area Boulevard right there. Will that have any impact as far as any kind of major intersections or anything?
They do not have a traffic control device they're installing there, so it's just left turn, right turn with no traffic signal. So we would still not consider that a safe walk zone. It is, however, going to significantly improve our bus arrival. We're not going to be using 528 anymore. We're going to be using the back driveway, which should significantly improve safety around the campus.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Any other questions? No, we're good. All right. Thank you. Next item on the agenda will be the strategic plan discussion.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, so what we will, we have for you, you have it in front of you, but our 25-26 district goals, and so we will be updating our first goal today. And if you recall, Vision 2030, we adopted our strategic plan back in April 15th of 2024, and we have three major goals, and we have those extended through 2030 at this point, and we will go back over, like I said, that first goal today. When we did adopt our strategic plan, it also included an adoption or review and adopted our mission, our vision, our core values, and our value statement. And we didn't have a vision at that point, but empowering every student with a world-class education that ignites passions and fuels endeavors was one of the big key pieces out of that strategic plan that we've continued to carry through. And in our mission statement, today we'll really focus on the safe and nurturing environment distinguished by authentic relationships, service before self, and a spirit of exploration. So you'll see several key components in what we're talking about with our goal 1. And this year we've kind of aligned our goals, goal 1, 2, and 3. We've called them A, B, and C. This is actually C because it's culture. What we will do next month, we will talk about our third goal, which is goal B, beyond boundaries, kind of that future thinking. So it's A, B, and then A will be in January, and we'll talk about academic achievement and academic excellence. And at that point, we will have our data from the first semester. So we'll be sharing that with you in January. Just kind of a review and an update of that. So our first goal, students and staff will thrive in a secure environment, build connections in community, and become resilient leaders. And in 25-26, we have 2 strategies under this goal. And you see those there. The first strategy we'll talk about now, improve district-wide systems to ensure a safe environment through a centralized safety vulnerability prevention system. And then we have 5 action items under that. So we'll go through those action items and give you an update of where we are in each one of those. After the third action item, we'll kind of take a pause if you have any questions, and then we'll finish the other 2, and then we will proceed to the second strategy. So there's 2 strategies under this goal. So I'm going to go ahead and start and turn it over to Mr. Miller, and Ms. Pickett and Mr. Munson are all going to contribute. Mr. Aragon, you'll notice we'll have multiple people that are sharing information around each of these strategies.
Right. Cameron is going to hit the first one, and then we'll have Tammy back on deck for the bus badging, and then Alex will finish us up with the restroom safety.
Good afternoon. So one of the things that we're focused on for this goal, kind of something that we do every 3-year period anyway, is our internal campus safety audit process. Safe and Secure Schools goes and audits every single campus once in that 3-year period. It includes an intruder detection audit, similar to what the TEA does, where we try to gain entry to a school, going through side door, things like that. A bunch of surveys. They call them interviews, but they're really kind of surveys where we talk with a student, a teacher, a counselor, the principal, a bunch of different people on campus. Again, with some questions that are provided by the Texas School Safety Center, the TEA, to kind of gauge where the campus is at. And then it also includes a building walkthrough where, we get a big checklist from the state that we work off of to make sure that the campus itself, the facility itself is, where it needs to be at. I don't have to worry about that a lot because of this guy right here and Chris Pitts and his team, but it is part of that process. We kind of do our best to break the district into sections. This year we started with all the elementaries, then we'll move to the intermediates and the high schools, and again trying to hit every single one of those schools in that 3-year period. Oh, I went too far. There we go. So currently we've got 25 of the 27 elementary schools fully completed, surveys, building walkthroughs, as well as the intruder detection audit. Unfortunately, I can't use the one the state does for this audit. We have to do it ourselves. So schools get audited, every now and at least once every 3 years, twice in 1 year, one from us and one from the state. Mr. Aragon and his team, his project managers, are graciously helping us out with the building walkthroughs for the intermediates and the high schools. Those are bigger facilities. It's not something that my team really has the eye for, apart from working off the checklist. So his team is gonna help us out with that, and we're very grateful. Intruder detection audits for those secondary schools, as well as those surveys, we're aiming to start in December and have finished by February of next year. We've done the majority of it, right? The elementaries is the biggest, subset if you're looking at them by grade level. So we're well on our way to making sure that stuff is completed. Typically what we'll do is we'll show up and do the intruder detection audit after scheduling a meeting with the principal. They don't know we come about an hour or so early and try to get in. Once we do, complete that component of the audit process, we'll meet with that principal and then finish out any surveys that are remaining. We try to send them to them ahead of time so that they have time to ask a teacher to complete it, or, get their counselor, to kind of talk through some of those questions. But any that are still remaining, we'll kind of sit there and call those staff members in, get a student that that the principal wants to fill the survey out and kind of finish that out there, so that by the time we leave, the school is completely done. We don't have to bother that principal again. All right, so the expected completion of our audits is April next year. That's kind of right up at the end of that 3-year cycle for this go around. A summary report and findings will go to the safety committee on the 8th, our meeting on the 8th, and then that same summary report and findings will come to the board May 25th. From there, we'll submit some of the information to the TEA in June. Last year, they sent us our own kind of survey, and we filled out the information based on the audits from there. Don't know necessarily what it'll look like this year, how much information they'll request, but we'll have it all ready to go at that point. All right, and then Tanny's turn.
Hello again. So we are pleased to announce the successful completion of our final phase of our student badging and safety-focused transportation project. This initiative was driven by our commitment to student safety. The badge system enables accurate tracking of students boarding and exiting buses, reduces the risk of unauthorized student access, and enhances overall transportation security. This project received approval from the school board, including the allocation of funds necessary to support the implementation and maintenance. Your support has been instrumental in prioritizing safe, reliable transportation for all students. We began with a pilot at McWhirter over the summer, allowing us to test the system, gather feedback, and refine procedures before district-wide deployment. And of course, with that, we had several different programs. And it wasn't just the badging: Trip Finder, Wayfinder, Route Finder Plus, and Stop Finder. We gradually expanded the system to all routes, monitoring performances and resolving issues. Communication was sent out to parents, guardians, and administrators at each campus before each phase rolled out. While the technology is fully implemented, we continue to encourage consistent badge use among the students. Through the Stop Finder Parent app, families can now monitor their students' activities and bus activity in real time, offering added ease and peace of mind regarding their students' safety. We recognize that the building new habits takes time, and we are committed to working closely with parents, school staff, and students to ensure the system becomes a reliable and successful part of our daily operations. Thank you for your continued support and cooperation as we work to enhance student safety and operational efficiency across our transportation services.
Good evening, everybody. Tammy's project was a lot cooler than mine, but I will still talk about mine. So my team was focused on the removal of the restroom doors at the intermediate and high schools. So we focused our efforts on student restroom doors in the classroom pods. Doors near cafeterias and other common areas remained. The project managers with the general contractors walked with the principals, and we walked through the bathrooms and determined which ones would fall into the student area and which ones would not. Campus and those that still have the doors at campus administration are still keeping those doors locked until needed, and then they open them. Most campus restroom doors were removed by August 31st. We tackled this right away when we got the go on this, and we were able to do it relatively quickly. We ran into a little bit of a hiccup at Clear Creek Intermediate, where the entrance into the bathrooms a little bit narrow, so putting a privacy panel, the boys' bathrooms had a direct view into the urinals. So putting a privacy panel kind of closer to the door wouldn't allow for ADA accessibility, so we were able to work around and move it kind of farther down where we met the ADA. So we were able to finish that in the end of October. Took a little bit of thinking, and what we ended up doing was, in the meantime, while the partitions were being manufactured, we just bagged one of the urinals so they couldn't be used. And then once they came in, we put the new partitions in. So that school is 100% done now too. So the data shows that the door removal has been effective. Overall, drug-related offenses have declined by 59% as compared to the average from 2022-2023 through 2024-2025. It's been reported that overall physical contact related to offenses have declined by 40%, as compared to the average from 2022, 23, and through 2024, 25. And campus staff are doing amazing work monitoring the restrooms. Next slide. And you can kind of see with this slide the first quarter graphics, and you can see that 2025, 2026 is the light blue, so you can see it down for the vaping and for the let's see that very well, marijuana use. So the total on the right there. And then the next slide, fighting is down and physical aggression. That's, I don't know what.
We also wanted to mention that the cell phone policy has had a significant impact as well on incidents in restrooms and the amount of time that students are spending in the restroom. So that's also added to the reduction that we've seen for this first quarter.
So relatively, it's been very successful. We're real happy that we were able to finish it on time. Not as exciting as the bus stuff, but still important.
So we'll go ahead and take a pause here and just ask questions of any of the items that we've discussed so far.
Go ahead, Trustee Cunningham.
Mr. President, Alex, are there any other boys' bathrooms that we've done that to? That we've, cordoned off?
Yes, so what we did is when we did our original assessment is we determined several factors. Nothing needed to be done where you could just keep the door open. There's no visible view. The second one was if there was a mirror that reflected, we moved the mirror. And then the third one is if there's a straight view, we added a panel, privacy panels, and depending we're in the bathroom, so you can't directly look into it. So it depends on how the bathroom is laid out. The panels are kind of systematic based on those bathroom layouts.
Okay. I knew I was somewhere, and I was saying to myself, I wonder why that's, baggaged up. But now that makes sense. So thank you. Thank you for that clarification. And also, Cameron, what were the two elementary schools that haven't been audited yet so far?
I don't know off the top of my head, but when I made the list, I went alphabetically. So if I had to take a guess, it'd be White and Wedgwood, somewhere around there. But I can get that information and get it over to you guys.
No big deal. I was just curious.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for all of your work. I know this is a lot, and it is as exciting as the bus, I promise. But one question, they're not doing this in the bathroom. Do we have any reason to believe that they're going elsewhere to do these activities on our campuses? Or, I'm very old, and when I was in school, there was a smoking pit down by the football field, and that's where they went. Once the bathrooms were monitored, they went to the smoking pit. Do we have any reason to see that any of this activity is happening elsewhere on our campus?
I mean, we could look at the data, but typically typically that type of behavior happens in
the bathroom.
restrooms, and those doors provided a sense of privacy for them to do those sort of things. And so with those doors being removed, they've been less likely to do that. As Mr. Miller mentioned, also the law with the cell phones kind of deters that behavior because they can't send those texts, they can't send those meetup places, that sort of thing. So it's kind of all of it put together to help reduce some of this activity.
Thank you. I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Trustee.
I did have a question about parent engagement with StopFinder. Do we have a sense of what that looks like and how that compares maybe to what we had to respond to in the past that we didn't have as good information on?
Great question. So we are I just got done sending out another mass email to let the parents know that we did just release the attendance access loading on and off because we wanted to make sure that they were getting the correct data. And so I did send out an email yesterday to all the parents and let them know I'm going to resend the link because the StopFinder app tells you how many parents have actually downloaded the link and where they can be able to access their student information. So that can give us a sense of how many parents are getting involved and who is not getting involved in that. And right now it's getting better than what it was because now they have that access to be able to see live real data other student badging on and off, because I was even getting phone calls from parents yesterday while I was at work saying, hey, I haven't, the link actually is inactive now. Can you please send it to me? So there is a little bit more engagement. We just have to keep pushing it and letting them know that we have it, and that's why I send it on the weekends, because there's so many emails that actually get sent, and parent squares that, alerts that get sent out to all the parents. And so I send it over the weekend, so it's a little bit separate from everything else. But we're getting a better engagement with the parents than what we had before. Some of them are still kind of iffy on it, but any kind of change, it's kind of hard. So. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing the update today. I know at the beginning of the school year, we had the chance to be at a number of our campuses at Car Rider Line, and getting to be there when students were coming off the bus, and our smallest, youngest students were scanning and for the most part doing a really good job. Yes. They would get assistance from the bus drivers if they were having any problems. But I know peace of mind for parents, especially of our youngest students, of just knowing, that they've gotten on the right bus and that they're getting off at the right stop, is just something else that's important to reassure families that they have that. So thank you for doing that, and please pass along our thanks to the bus drivers too, because I know this is a change in process for them. But we've talked before. Crossing guards and bus drivers are some of the first people that our students interact with every day, and they're the last people they see before they go home. And so thank you to them for all that they've done.
Of course, it's just a new habit, and
Absolutely.
it takes time to actually build that new habit.
Absolutely.
I like the way it's integrated with food services too.
Also, yeah. Mr. Aragon, you mentioned the restrooms. Do you know by chance? I know we always talk about the number of doors, exterior doors that we have across all of our campuses. Do you have a sense of how many restrooms were part of this kind of overhaul as far as removing doors? And
I can put that in the Friday memo. I couldn't. There was a lot, and the door, and the doors are being kept in the campuses.
Right, and I remember you
just in
mentioned that.
case. But,
so I also just want to say thank you to you and the team. These things in a board workshop or in a board meeting or in a Friday packet sound small, but the work that goes into planning which restrooms, coordinating when it's done, the removal, and making sure that we maintain privacy but ensure student safety and staff access, and looking at declines of percentages of any of these violations really underscore our commitment to student safety and really focus on instruction. And it also means that staff is having to spend less time dealing with some of the offenses that have happened in the past. And I appreciate Trustee Lilly's question about, could this be happening in other places that we're not monitoring? And I think our goal overall as a district is to make sure that what we are really showing and instructing and teaching through Leader in Me and through instruction and through, all of the different organizations that provide support to our students is, focusing on learning, focusing on instruction, focusing on achievement and leadership. And while we know that we can't make this perfect, I think the things that safety has done and that facilities has done really to make sure that we're removing the ease and the temptation to do things that otherwise are not going to be beneficial to them and to the safety of our campuses. So thank you also for that. Even though your slides may have been envious of transportations, I still think the information you shared was good.
Next time I'll put pictures in it.
Right. Right. So thank you all for that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Trustee Sanchez. Trustee Cunningham.
And I'll just kind of piggyback off that. Last week was our Gulf Coast Area Association of School Boards meeting, and Dr. Engel got to sit on a superintendent panel. And when she mentioned safety, she mentioned some of these things. And then I've learned that since then, some of the meetings you've been to, some of the outside district events, playoffs and things of that nature, you've been approached by other districts who want to get more details and learn more. So do not be surprised if you're contacted, and some of our, surrounding districts are asking you, now, what exactly are you guys doing, and things of that nature, because, and also just having the data that shows, how effective that is. Just kind of just highlights that, bless you, it just highlights that, what we're doing, moving in the right direction. And as Trustee Sanchez says, trying to focus on just instruction and take some of these underlying distractions away really makes a big deal. So thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, thanks for the data. It may not be sexy, but it's worth looking at, and it's good to see that coming out of the safety committee, this was the cheapest and easiest recommendation, and it's paying off. So that's giving me hope. I believe next safety meeting we meet with some students, so we'll get some anecdotal kind of feedback on do they feel safer. When do we send out that survey where we would also get feedback on student safety and do they feel safer? When does that typically go out?
Sorry. It'll be next semester.
Okay. All right. So all that put together, I think we're gonna see some good results. So thank you.
Thanks, Trustee McKay. And I'll echoing everything that they said. It's trying to keep that focus on the safety of the students and of course the quality of the education that they're receiving, and removing the distractions. And for transportation feedback, any feedback that you can share from families that have engaged with you about the bus, the new system that we have in place. Any feedback you can share?
Well, just recently, I received an email regarding a couple that is divorced, and so at least they are able to find out and keep constant contact regarding what their students are going through, and because they're not going to the same household, so it's two separate, so they're really excited about that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's an investment, right? I mean, when we approve these things, we're investing in the family's peace of mind and the safety of the students, making sure they're tracked and the parents know where they're at, and make sure that they get to school like they're supposed to. The other thing I was curious about, you had mentioned that for the engagements, are you able to break down when you get that data, break down the people that have downloaded or uploaded the app, they're utilizing it based on the grade of their student? Is it something that families with younger students are using more widely, because then it may be a communication thing to try to engage that group more, or are you going to be able to break it down?
Yes, I can actually break it down by who is scanning with the badge and who is manually putting them on because they don't have their badge, and we can be able to do it by campus.
Okay. And that's important for me, because whenever I talk to my neighbors, and their children age range from kindergarten to 12, but at least having those conversations to try to encourage more engagement with those families to do those things. So yeah, I think that would help. And as far as that 59% reduction, that's great. I hope that we're able to communicate that out, because as Trustee McKay said, this was a very inexpensive option that came out of the safety committee, and I think that's real important that people know that that 59% reduction in vaping, that's huge, and we know that's a pandemic problem that we're trying to do what we can to help solve. So I would try to communicate all that positive that we can in the community. So and with that, anything else? No? All right, so there you go. Keep it going.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll continue on and kind of we're still with culture, and moving a little bit from the physical safety to the looking at student behaviors and student safety, that physical and emotional piece. So we've got a a few more guests that are coming up, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Silva.
All right. Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. As many of you probably know or might remember, we have been really focusing on supporting behavior in our classrooms over the last several years. So our goal always is to support the teachers as much as we can from the district, as well as support our campus leaders. And so we've worked really hard to create some systems that will support our students ultimately. And so our first goal that we'll talk about is our continuum of district behavior supports. And we have both Christina Ford and Christina Talley from our Counseling and Student Services Department, who have spearheaded this work and are going to share a little bit about it.
Good evening, everyone. When Ms. Talley and I started this work, we knew that it had to be a collaborative effort. There are so many departments that support and talk with students and support student behavior. So we really knew it had to be a collaborative effort between elementary education, our counseling department, our behavior strategies team, and special education. Without all of us in one room really working, we knew it would be the most effective continuum. And so our goal when we got together this summer was to align our resources. We're all supporting behaviors, but we wanted to make sure that in order to support staff and students, we were aligned with the resources that we had, with all of the tools that we have, and the supports that we provide. And we also really wanted to build clarity. As Dr. Silva said, we're ultimately supporting our students, but we wanted to make sure our staff had clarity of the supports that we have, and that our systems were being regularly used to support behavior Tier 1 to Tier 3 specialized. So I'm going to let Ms. Talley show you kind of what the continuum looks like at this point and where we are.
Okay, hi everyone. So what you see is a small sample of the continuum of behavior supports that the teams that came together created. So like Ms. Ford said, we looked at Tier 1, which is for everybody, all the way through up to Tier 3 specialized, which would be our special program classes. And the goal of this was really to put together all the resources that we have, because when we started talking and we had chart paper and all kinds of stuff, it was like we have a whole lot that we provide, and sometimes it gets lost, right? And so bringing it back to the top and reminding everybody. So we took the document and we broke it down by tiers, but then also we broke it down by, okay, what kind of supports do you have for students at each level? What kind of supports for teachers at each level? What about the administrators? And then beyond the campus, who could I call on my campus for support with those 3 groups? But then who could I call at the district level? And so what we've been doing ongoing is taking the document and working on hyperlinking the resources that are listed to really try to make it a one-stop place that you could go to, that teams could use. We've shared it out with lots of different campus teams and administrators, just to show, okay, here is kind of that menu of supports. What can I start with, and what might I be able to try that I haven't yet?
And so we still have some work to do. We are still working to streamline our systems. We have a lot of supports for students to ultimately support staff, or for teachers to ultimately support students, and we want resilient learners. And so we want to continue to streamline our systems. We're continuing to have conversations to make sure that our work is aligned as we're supporting teachers and students, as they know who to call at the campus and the district level. And we're really strengthening our systems at each tier. As we rolled out the continuum, we're continuing to get feedback and making sure that we're updating and adding additional structures and systems as we go. And we're still working on some alignment. Some of our next steps are aligning our campus crisis and safety plans. We had some different verbiage going on throughout different departments, and that doesn't provide clarity. And so when we all got to the table, we talked through, what does this mean to you? What does this mean to you? And we all got clarity, and we're working to make sure that our campuses have that clarity so that we can ultimately support our students, because that's the most important thing. We want those systems aligned so that we can support our students.
And our next and final goal from this section is about cybersecurity. So I'll turn it over to Dustin Harden, our CTO.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I have a whole one slide tonight. So we actually presented to the safety committee on October 22nd a longer version of this. But very simply, the goal we had for the year was to do 2 tabletops with cabinet and have a completely developed out response plan for cybersecurity. On August 7th, we actually did that first tabletop with our cabinet. It was I enjoyed it very much. I think cabinet was very surprised how well it went. I think they were anticipating a very technical tabletop, and it was very operational. We learned so much from that. We already had a response plan in draft, so we're now updating that. Cybersecurity coordinator Christian Perez is meeting with different departments right now and going over what we learned from that August 7th tabletop, updating our plan. October 10th, I actually did a surprise tabletop with my own department, which was a lot of fun. That was, I think, an IP day or something. So hardly any of the department was there, which was a lot of fun. And again, learned a lot internally about some things that we're missing and some gaps that we have. Again, same process. We're going to meet with those folks, those leaders within the IT department, add that information to this response plan. And then we're hoping by May to have everything completed with the goal, possibly March, April timeframe, doing a second tabletop, maybe in tandem with IT and cabinet on the exact same day, doing the exact same tabletop exercise and scenario. So everything's going great with that. So thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much. All right. I'll open it up. Trustees, Cunningham.
Ms. Talley, first of all, it is just great to see you. And I just want you to know that we are just wrapping our arms around you and your family. My question is, how are we kind of doing the parent support? Like, how are we incorporating that since, you know, the office has kind of gone away, I guess?
Yeah, the parent assistance office. And I know
yes.
that we get a lot of support with Ms. Hughes and Mr. Franklin and Mr. Moses. Yeah, regarding they do get a lot of those parent assistance calls in their offices, and y'all want to share a little bit about how those are distributed.
Yeah, during that transition, we have a clerk, paraprofessional, Ms. Jennifer Garza, who's done a fantastic job of fielding those phone calls and doing a lot of that work to help those parents out during that time, whether that's involving enrollment or registration or Skyward or buses or any of those things that call, as well as some of the ones that are a little frustrated at something. She handles those extremely well too, and then eventually, if needed, they come to myself or Ms. Hughes or Dr. Lopez to address.
So, but I do want to commend them on being able to take that workload and really have, brought it to a manageable system and created a system that we're able to respond to parents.
Right. I just wanted to highlight that since we had just talked about that, and you had mentioned Ms. Lopez, or Dr. Lopez as well, in the job that she's doing. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Trustee Cunningham. Open up. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Also, just wanted to say thank you. I know you were talking about just the importance of clarity and consistency of terminology. And while that doesn't seem like a big deal until you see the things that are disconnected in how people are taking action or responding, I think that's where you probably notice it most. I know from our perspective, we've talked in the past about looking for alignment in the things that are happening across the district, processes across so many campuses, and then that direct alignment to our strategic plan. And so where you spend time ensuring that that's happening in this area really does complement, and it does make things cleaner, makes it easier to accomplish and understand. So thank you all for doing that. I did wonder, I know we specifically mention, let me see where I saw. So on slide 15, it talks about the collaborative effort between elementary education, counseling, behavior, and special education teams. And I think, at least in the time that I've had the chance to serve on the board, I think the significance behind this is that what we establish as a foundation for students at the elementary level will show itself in intermediate and in high school. And so while it may not be specifically mentioned here, I do think we hope to see things continue to improve based on what students are learning and understanding at the earliest grades. And so thank you all for doing that as well.
Thanks, Trustee Sanchez. Open up. Anyone else? Microphone. Jeff, Mike.
Yeah, I guess it works better when it's turned on. You know, I see a lot of these initiatives have been implemented correctly, and that they seem to be paying off. And however, I see a lot of these are just coming to the conclusion of their natural cycle as we intended them to. And I guess looking at goals in general, I'm just wondering what comes next after this, because I know we have additional problems in this area that need to be addressed, but I'm just not sure how we go about tackling those. And I know there are ideas out there. I know there probably already been discussions on this, and I'm just wondering what things would appear on this sheet next year that we need to add.
And I think those are some things that as we do get feedback from trustees, get feedback from surveys and campuses, then we start to look and see what needs to be, what are the goals, because these are just the 25, 26 goals that we put it together now. So we're following up, but that will definitely, we'll look and see what do we need to do now. Our major, well, I guess take that back. These are our strategies. Our major 3 goals that we've put in place for 25-30, that remains intact unless we decide to go back and have some type of change on our strategic plan. But then looking at the strategy specifically to reach those goals will definitely change depending on data and what the needs are. Does that support that?
Yeah, I think that answers it. I guess I'm just, I guess I appreciate the update, and things look to be on track. And I'm just curious as to how we continue to address this going forward. And I didn't want to belabor this, but there were some things mentioned at the Region 4 in this realm that are things to be addressed, and I think we can do that, and I'm sure we'll do that as we move forward.
Thanks, Trustee Larson. And maybe some of the feedback on how those the menu of supports is going. Feedback from the families. And I think that would probably help as we look at that kind of data. And I don't know. I love that phrase, menu of supports. It's great. Whenever you look at that metric about, aligning best practices and resources, align it, a menu of supports, there's so many departments and so many, employees, and trying to direct somebody to going somewhere, and having a menu is a great way to do it, right? So anything else? No. Thank you, Christinas, for being here, and Dustin, great job. Thank you.
Okay, we'll transition here and continue on this culture, this goal number 1, and look at the second strategy to build connections and community is measured through a culture of excellence matrix. And just as kind of to preface that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Branch, but in kind of a background, if you will, there was a lot of conversation, a lot of people that put input into this, and I'm sure I'll share that. Bless you. But there's been a lot of collaborative work on this around cabinet to get this culture of excellence matrix and the work that goes into that. And then once he presents, different cabinet members are just going to share part of this particular strategy, and then we'll open up for questions after that.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Engel. And as she mentioned, lots of collaboration for the Matrix. I want to thank Dr. Silva and Elena Polson and several others who've gone to conferences, brought information back, and certainly Sheridan Henley, who will be presenting tonight as well. And so as we provide, of course, a world-class education, and in keeping with the goal of informing resources and support, we are developing a data-focused way to measure CCISD's culture of excellence, which is built on the pillars of people, purpose, and promise. Of course, this is in full alignment with Vision 2030. And Sheridan Henley, Dr. Henley, will talk through the metrics that we're actually looking at in order to build the matrix and to receive the measure.
Thank you for letting me be here tonight to kind of talk through the culture of excellence. As Dr. Branch mentioned, it was a collaborative effort of looking for ways to measure people, purpose, and promise with district level metrics that are valid, that we can find, that we can start tracking over time, that truly can help define success toward people, purpose, and promise. And so for people, we really are starting to look at some teacher and staff data, such promotion, retention, attendance, pay and benefits. Student data, we would look at a retention, attendance rate, again, driving that, and then some survey data from top workplace titles, and then niches data. And the hope is to really align these to districts like us and demographics, or districts that surround us, and really do a comparison so that we can see how not we ourselves do internally, but how we also do externally. And so under purpose, we're really trying to drive that academic excellence, progress, and impact. And so we kind of look at two sets of data pieces for that. Again, student achievement, the STAR, overall district, but also look at some elementary reading and some intermediate students earning high school credit. And then again, some impact data, which is really that niche rating again, and then some recognitions and tracking that. And then our last is promise. And that's really our focus on that community stewardship and legacy. And we're really bringing in some financial data, some college and career readiness, and then again, keeping that survey because you still want the balance between qualitative and quantitative. And so my team will continue to work on developing this out now, putting it together, scoring it, and weighting it where we kind of can effectively measure it across the three areas.
Okay, delighted to be here this evening. I'm always happy to talk about Inside CCSD and how we bring community together. And this is really a case of getting something, taking it and making it bigger, better, and bolder. And that's what we've done with Inside here as part of a real big ambassador network that we're trying to build. So one thing we learned is that your best recruiters are already in your schools, right? And so that was where it came from, to make sure that we could connect our community with those staff members that were already coming to DEIC quarterly every year. So we think it might have been a missed opportunity, right, to bring them all together, learn from each other, and that's definitely what happened. So we want to make sure our staff are as informed as our parents and community members on areas and offerings outside their daily scope of work. So we had 65 members, parents, staff, community attend the first session. It was fantastic on October 21st. And they heard from great leaders like Ms. Jufrey and a teacher team from Victory Lakes Intermediate about leadership building in CCISD. And that ranged from Leader in Me to the Launch program, which is why we had those leaders from Victory Lakes. And they really just did a beautiful job of bringing it to life for our community members that had no idea what Launch was. And then even some of our own elementary staff members, right? Why would they know deeply what Launch is about? So it was really quite exciting to see that happen. The day rounds out with Dr. Silva and DEIC delegates, and they break out into their subcommittee work on those ABC topics from the strategic plan and our goals. So all sessions have a central theme or focus, and the December session coming up will be we'll be spotlighting our world-class programs from pre-K all the way to CHECS and P-TECH, so we're very excited about that. So it is an ambassador program. The goal is to deputize our participants into feeling confident to share all things CCSD within their circles of influence. And we have proof of that feedback. One in particular was a mother and a new Inside ambassador, and she represents a local moms group. We were just so happy to have her attend, and she's got 3 on the way in CCSD. So I just want to read a few lines from her letter to us, and she also expressed it at the end of the meeting. But she said, "I was so impressed with the administration and teachers that we heard from that I had a chance to talk to. Also, it was so exciting to learn about the positive impact that specific programs such as Leader in Me and Launch have had on the district. It was also great to hear how these programs are being rolled out to the community, to all campuses by 2030. And this is the important part. She says, I look forward to sharing these key takeaways and additional information I gathered with my chapter." So that's the idea, right? To not just engage them, but empower them to take that information and do something with it. We can do billboards and great websites all day long, but until our people and our own people, our stakeholders, are understanding it and living it, getting on school buses, and going and experiencing it, that's just a whole nother level of engagement. So that's kind of what happened there. I think that was it on Inside. Oh, and I think I mentioned our next session is December 3rd. And we will be, I think, visiting RCC, eSTEM, pre-K, and dual language. Again, back to that world-class programming. Okay, this is an exciting update. So our Get My Interns platform is really taking off at Clearbrook. That's kind of our pilot program this semester. I want to give some props to our ISM teacher, Erica Durant. She's just doing a phenomenal job of really learning the platform and all the bells and whistles and making sure that it's a good experience for our providers, which are the mentors, as well as our students. So like I said, it's happening at Clearbrook. We have 37 active mentorships at work, and they're utilizing the features, everything from all the required documentation. Everything used to be very manual and exchange in your email and paper, and now it's all in this application. So the timesheet submissions and approvals is working very well, as well as the evaluation process. So she's having to do some tweaks here and there, and she's going to learn that information and take it back to the other ISM teachers so that it's a more efficient process, and that's kind of the purpose of the piloting. So we have 133 ISM students registered. The reason for that higher number is because they're prepping for the spring, and those programs start in the spring, and then we'll also have some on board in the fall. So our hope is that we'll have it just completely streamlined and, like I said, the best experience possible. And so now we're in the process of, rolling it out to our community. We really need to make sure that we have industry and business that's aware that this is there. I know you all get the same questions when you're out there. How can we help? What can we do? And so now this is a really tangible way to connect to our students and to impart their knowledge and experience in their field, whether it be, health, medical science, aerospace, get them in this system and then match them with students seeking an internship in that field of study. So that's happening. It's going to kind of start making the world tour around our community. We already started a couple weeks ago. Casey Bevel went to a workforce development committee meeting at the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce and rolled this out, and everybody was very receptive, and they're just eager to jump in and become a mentor for a student in the ISM program in CCISD.
Okay, and to think about, you mentioned Leader in Me and the great feedback we received, just to carry on information in regard to our progress this year. As you know, we started this from a campus effort to moving towards district-wide, and this year we've added 4 schools into the phase 1 process of that training. We're excited that, and for Ms. Jufu that you mentioned earlier, that had a great session for our ambassadors. Once again, our community members and our internal members were excited to see this to see it in person. We have these 4 schools that are started off this year. We have a plan now to take us through 2030 so that all elementary schools will be able to empower the student leadership within and build that firm foundation for great things to come. We have worked certainly since the very beginning with our Clear Creek Education Foundation, and we're grateful for their partnership, and certainly many of you who helped pave that way, along with their support and having annual contributions that they've pledged to continue to work towards to support our campuses, as well as a Kern Foundation grant that has been provided through the year 2030. Part of our goal is to complete out by 2030 all schools. It takes about if we said the sweet spot, it was probably three campuses a year. This year we're doing 4, and Ms. Jufrey is running around the district and making it happen because she is incredible. But 3 campuses a year will take us into 2030, and we'll be able to wrap out that. But the Kern Foundation has been a great resource for us to help match on membership fees and to continue that work. But we're excited about the growth in our students and the opportunities that our kids are having across each campus. So good work so far. And I don't know if there's questions here or one more.
We'll just finish out this strategy, and
Yes.
then we'll open it up for questions. Thanks.
Okay, and finally, we have we've done some work to expand our Clear to Lead initiative. And our Clear to Lead initiative is really our opportunity to build capacity in people in our organization for potential roles in the future in leadership, so sort of a pipeline. We have had a few sessions thus far this year. The first session was around our Leadership in Action CCISD document, and our participants got to learn from leaders and go to various sessions based on interest and choice for them. Our next 2 were around building ourselves as a leader and then building others as leaders. And so those were sort of foundational work that the group did. We've got a fairly consistent group of people that are coming, teachers and different roles, actually people in different roles who would like to potentially have a leadership role or an administrator role in our district. And then coming up is tomorrow actually is our session 1 of our future principals, assistant principals, and counselors group. So this is a little more targeted at those roles. And so we'll start tomorrow with an amazing race activity where they will have to work through some scenarios as teams and think through the lens of a principal or an assistant principal or a counselor, that type of thing. And so we try to keep them pretty engaged and exciting so that they will have an opportunity to really want to come and learn. It's at 5 o'clock after a long day of work. So we've got 40 something, I think, people signed up for tomorrow. So we're hoping that we'll have a good group tomorrow that will work in teams to try to win our race. And then we've got a couple of other sessions right after the winter break, and ending right now with session 4 in February, which will include a interview practice and resume guidance. And our hope is that by the time we're ready to start interviewing for administrators for next school year, we'll have some ready to go. So that's the plan.
And that concludes that second strategy. And so now we are opened up for questions regarding anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, I'll open it up. Trustees?
Okay, it's not a question, but I couldn't resist. It's a win-win.
Oh!
I'm like, it's a win-win.
Well done.
Thank you for all your hard work on that. And Jonathan and I were part of the Education Foundation when Leader and Me kicked off, and it's so wonderful to see it come full circle and keep going and growing and what it's doing for our future leaders.
I just want to say thank you for all your work. I love seeing all the support that we have for students, the support we have for our teachers and future leaders. I know last week when we walked in that classroom at Falls, that might have been the best day ever to see one of our former Teacher of the Years back in our district after she had left. So I think that's kudos to you guys for providing those opportunities, convincing them to come back, giving them reasons to stay. I think it's great that we have these programs because that's who we want to bring up through our pipeline and have leading our schools. And where is the event tomorrow?
It is at Clearview. They're all at Clearview High School.
Is there a spectator section? Go ahead, Trustee Sanchez.
Eva, thank you for the update on Insight. As you mentioned, a comment that you received from somebody that participated. I got a text on the 21st after the event that evening and said, had a wonderful day at Inside CCISD. I wish I had done it 5 years ago. And so I think as we think about whether it's community members, whether it's staff and teachers, administrators, if it's parents of current or future students, their ability to get information for themselves that they're otherwise receiving through many other channels that may or may not be an exact representation of who we are in CCISD. I think this is a wonderful investment and opportunity, both in time and in relationships and in building trust and transparency with people who are valuable stakeholders every day. So thank you for pulling that together, for continuing to think about how we can make it better. And I just wanted to share, as you mentioned, the positive feedback. I got that in a text and then just another comment in passing, and both were very, very positive. That said, I just didn't know that much, And I said, well, we learn all the time, and so I think that's really positive. The update that you gave about the Get My Interns app, as a parent and as a trustee, I would be interested if we had the ability to see for ourselves even screenshots of what businesses or mentors might see, as well as what students might see. If that's something that we would get the chance, just because as we get questions or as we talk to others, we can say, look, it's really, really easy, or it's got a bunch of questions, but you're going to be able to get through it in about X amount of time. And then I'm assuming that if there are any forms that are required by the mentor, liability forms or waivers, is that part of the system? Okay.
Yes, those are links in the system, but to your other question, I can absolutely do that because I know what you're saying. It's like, what does this look like? What's the process? And it is very streamlined, very easy. However, I will say that because this has been done a different way for so long, getting some providers and mentors to do this now and go online, it could be a challenge. And so we're being very flexible and open to helping some along the way and saying, let's just get you in there because you're going to see how great and user-friendly it is once you're in there.
I think you should sign up. You'd be an excellent mentor.
And there's also the Raptor piece. So there's dual, they have to do a Raptor criminal background check plus that. So but I can certainly take some screen capture so you can see even what the window looks like for timesheet approval, that kind of thing. So I'm happy to provide the process.
Yeah, we'll share that Friday.
Okay.
Or somebody maybe sign up to be a mentor, and then you can go through and tell your
I heard Trustee Mackay saying he's signing up. And then just the last thing about aspiring leaders, I also appreciate and have enjoyed watching employees who have started out as teachers or staff members who have moved into different roles, even parents who were volunteering, who did a short-term assignment within the district. And so kudos to everyone on cabinet, everyone that really interacts with people, whether they become an aspiring leader or not. How we treat them all the time is like a leader, because ultimately our interaction with them shows up in how they interact with students. And so I just thank you for doing that. Investing when people are the things that we talk about, that our budget goes to, almost 90% of our budget, it's no surprise that we would make it a priority to focus on aspiring leaders, and that's really our treasure that makes us who we are as a district. So thank you all for doing that. I think the data speaks for itself, and the people that we see in roles today, that 5 years ago that 10 years ago were in different roles, and it's really about opportunity and about finding the place where they fit best. And so thank you all for doing that. And I think Trustee Cheka said the retention, it's also the reason to stay.
Right.
Knowing that there are opportunities and knowing that where you come in isn't where you finish if you have interest in doing other things. And so thank you for doing that. And our ability to show up is, in a niche rating, also says a lot about where people see future opportunities. So I'm also not surprised that they would want to come back. I don't know that we have to sell it to them. I think people are excited, but thank you for doing that and making that a priority.
Absolutely.
These are great updates, so thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sanchez. Go ahead.
Yeah, could you tell me ballpark the startup cost for a Leader in Me campus and then the ongoing yearly cost?
Sorry, thank you for the mic. For the membership fees, it's about $10,000 for the startup for the student membership fees. That does not include, though, the which have in-house with Ms. Jufrey that we've taken on in that role of the coach and serving all campuses and doing that work in the ongoing training that goes on to train all staff and to provide that ongoing support. That's the light side of that. That's a simple cost. When I look at the Kern grant that's paying for that this year, it's a $40,000. It's covering that student membership fees, and so that's the soft cost on just the student membership fees. There's some other pieces there. Our goal is to continue to build this through and to build that foundation, and then also to vary the cost so that we can build our own supports, and just like we have with Launch, and create that system in-house and within our classrooms, within our programs, which I know you're so well aware of, but to build that over time. It's just going to take, we went from the organic structure of this to creating a more systemic structure, and it's just going to take some time to get there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trustee McKay. Go ahead.
I know about 6 or 7 years ago, we had the chance to actually sit in and witness, the final presentations of the class that was, I guess, going through aspiring leaders. So for, Ms. Cheka had mentioned that would be neat to see in person, and I just encourage to let us know the date when that is. I know it's usually about April, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
would love, for the board to get an opportunity to see some of our folks in action, and just, as Trustee Sanchez said, where you start isn't always where you're going to finish, and we have a unique program that grooms our future leaders. And earlier in the presentation, we're talking about culture and things of that nature. Well, that's where it starts. So I just encourage that, because I know it's been a while since we've done that, and not everybody has probably had a chance to see that.
Right, and what we've done, this is a different program. So that particular program, when was the last year? It's probably about 4 years ago,
probably.
something like that, that we did that. And that program was selected, each principal selected a candidate, and not everybody was able to participate in that, not every school. This program that Dr. Silva is really has ongoing, anybody can participate. So there is not a final project, but it's volunteer, and we encourage, we have the ability to bring in more people, and they decide if they want to come, they have the opportunity to come. Did you want to add
That's
to
right.
that?
No, I just wanted to, it's not a cohort, and we do see different people. We have a group that's come to all three thus far, and look like they're signed up to come tomorrow as well. So we have a group very interested, but it is choice, and so they can come if they're interested, and then if they want to skip one, they can do that as well. So so they'll be able to build their skills based on what the agenda is for the meetings.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Larson.
Yeah, first, I want to say that everything I see here is smart, well aligned with what we're doing, well aligned with our DNA as far as who we are and how we approach the people who are part of us. I think it's good work. What I'm thinking, and maybe I missed this, yeah, I know that we talked about expanding Clear to Lead and things like that. What I'm kind of trying to wrap my hands around is, do we have any like targets for to what extent we plan to do that? Can you shed some light on that?
We definitely, this Clear Lead was initiated last year.
Yeah.
So that was the first year that we tried this. So then now we've got more opportunities. We've expanded the opportunities for anybody to come in, and more targeted to, I'd say.
Right.
And, yes.
Well, and I was just going to add, Mr. Larson, that we do intend as we get into the hiring season and the interview season, we do intend to sort of track those people, for lack of a better way to say that, but just to sort of see, are the skills that they're acquiring throughout those sessions in the fall and the spring able to land them an administrator job or a counselor job or whatever they're interested in. So tomorrow will be the first time where they sort of identify, I want to be a counselor or I want to be a principal. Thus far, it's been more of just a foundational leadership. We talked a lot in session 2 about leading ourselves well, no matter what role, going back to what you said, Mr. Sanchez, no matter what role we're in, we are a leader, no matter what, even a classroom teacher, even someone who works in our transportation department. We've had lots of different people come, and they all have the ability to lead and impact and influence people. But tomorrow will be the first time where we'll actually have them identify what do I want to do next, and then what could that look like. So that will be the spring work. But we do intend to track and hopefully see some results as we get into the hiring season of springtime.
What do we do for the folks that have already gone through, like aspiring leaders? Is there a follow-up? Is there continuing, mentoring that we do?
Yes. So we have some that have returned who were not able to land a job yet. We've had some who I know attended last year and who are attending some this year. I think it depends on really what their plan is. I do know if they have interviewed for jobs and have struggled to do that, HR takes a role in providing feedback for them. I'm speaking, Dr. Branch, feel free to jump in there, but I know that if they're trying to do something and they're struggling with that, they can receive feedback from people on the interview committee or from people in our HR department. And I know that that's gone really well, as I've given that feedback to people who have tried to reach roles that they weren't able to. And so sometimes it's a process. Sometimes it comes easy, and sometimes it's a process. And so we can just try to continue kind of wherever they are and what they need to support them.
And I like to add that the beauty of the structure of the program now is that person who didn't land the job 2 years ago can still participate in the series and continue to learn and build their toolkit of interview skills or whatever it might be to impact their ability to lead better.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to mention too, I think every one of us on cabinet has been to these sessions, if not the whole time, most of the time, participated in them. Everyone's had a chance to share. So it's truly cabinet and then other leaders too. And then we're sharing that information even with our leadership team on Tuesdays. There's some presentations for principals and other people in the district that are leading. So trying to replicate that and share that information.
Yeah, I just want to thank the team for being very intentional about building culture. And I was pleased to see in the Friday packet that we did a customer service training for our office personnel. I think it shows a commitment to building the culture, not just at the top, but from the bottom up. And I think we're going to see results from that. And so I appreciate all your efforts in that area.
Thank you, Trustee McKay. Do you mind if I just tap Ms. Polson very quickly just to share that? It was outstanding.
We had over 200 front office people that are the first ones that interact with our public come for a morning of empowerment. And we had Aaron Jeffrey, who I shared last time, was former Chick-fil-A marketing director, did a really great job of bringing in humor, but also humility in their work and acknowledging them. And we had Chick-fil-A there, but they want more. So we're actually looking at creating a conference-like style, because we can pull them off campus on those IP days, not all the time, but maybe looking at something in the spring of really creating a conference style for them, because they can learn from each other. There was also a lot of collaboration among campuses because they don't see each other, they don't know each other, but they had a few hours together to learn from each other, so it was really great. So thank you.
You know, I'll kind of summarize what I'm hearing in my head, which is we're on the right path, right? We are supporting everything from student success to teacher success to campus success to district success, engaging in the community. You know, we really are focused on the culture of the community, you know, and trying to lift everybody up to succeed. You know, and so when we say culture of excellence, it's inclusive of everything that is in our schools as well as within our community, you know, and going outside. You know, the Leader in Me program, you know, who would have thought when we voted to approve the funding of that almost 10 years ago, it would lead to this, you know, empowering students, you know, and leadership skills and everything. And, you know, that first wave of students have graduated now, but, you know, we have the focus on every little detail to really make, you know, everybody we can be lifted up and succeed, you know, whether it's in their education or their occupation or in our community. So thank you all very much for that presentation. That's my takeaway. So thank you. All right. No, that's it for tonight. Okay. Is there anything else? Any other information to share? No? All right. And with that, it's 6:22. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.